All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start on working. I'm going to start working on the T-handle for this tube right here. I've been sitting here getting my measurements together and deciding on how I want it to look and how I want to make it. So I've got a little basic sketch right there. So I've already got my dimensions down there. So what I'm going to do is this is that rod that I showed you. I'm going to shorten this, and the total length of it is going to be 5 inches long. So this area down here, I'll just face this thread off and where these flats are. So it'll be 5 inches from the flats here. I'll cut it off and then we'll do the machining. And on this end, so this would be like the end that screws in there. All right, that'll be turned down and threaded. I'm going to have an area down here on the end that's turned down to 7/8. And I am going to go ahead and put a brass plug in the end right there, so it'll be brass tipped to where it screws in and tightens into the rod there. Okay. And I'm going to use this piece of brass to make that piece here. And this is a very old prop shaft, a 1-inch brass or bronze prop shaft. Not sure of the material of the alloy, but you know it's some kind of brass, so we're going to use that. So I'll start with this. I'll go ahead and make this piece first, turn it, thread it, and then part it off, and then I'll have that piece to where this end right here will drill and tap it, and I'll be able to just screw it in there and make that pretty simple. So it shouldn't be that bad of a project, but I'm going to take some footage for you and show you how it goes along the way, okay? I've got this turned to 1/2 inch minus 5 thousandths, so now I'm going to turn this area. We're going to make this 7/8. That'll be the diameter that is going to fit up into the groove that I machined. And what I'll do, so we're going to take 1/8 of an inch off. I'm just going to take 60 thousandths. Take 60 thousandths on my foot and bring it down to 7/8. That should be more than enough. So that should put me around 935 or so. 938. Okay. So we got another 16th to go right there. 63 thousandths. See if I hit it. There we go. About 875.5. Close enough. Alright, I'm going to make an undercut for the threads, or also known as a thread relief. Double depth of 13 pitch should be 100 thousandths. Touch that and set to 0. Go into 100. I'm going to blend the two together, the corner there. Make sure I got plenty of thread relief there. And hopefully that'll work for me. All right, we're ready to do some threading, but first I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use that threading tool. I'm going to swing it around 1 notch. Move my mic there. Swing it around one notch and just chamfer the ends here. And this one we're just going to touch it. All right, let's do some threading. All right, I'm going to hit 3 on my thread chasing dial. And I should be able to engage on every other line or any of the numbers. Okay, that looks like 13. Let's try that real quick. So there's 2. Yep. Okay. All right, here's 4. So basically every other line, or in my case, since I started on a number, I have to hit 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move in. Let me see what I got to dial in. 13 is going to be 57, around 58 thousandths on the dial. So we're at 35, here's 45. 50. Let's go to 55 and check it. Let's see. Go ahead and make sure the tops are good there. Yep, see, still tight. Need to go in a little more. That's 58. Let's see if it's gonna fit or if I gotta take a little more. Still tight. And by the way, this is just a standard nut that you can get at a hardware store. Nothing special about that. Take 2 more. Beginning to wonder. Alright, it's 13. I wonder if I put the wrong nut in the bin. Let me go grab another half 13 and check it. Should be going on there. Here's one of my brass nuts here. Good quality brass nut. Okay, that's... yeah, it's still a little tight. Let's take 2 more. There we go. Still a little bit tight. I got to be able to screw it into that hole with my fingers. I better take a little bit more. I don't need it to be too tight. I'm just going to go a half on the compound. and then a spring pass. There we go. That's what we're looking for there. I know we got a pretty good fit. That steel nut there just acts like it doesn't want to, like it's a little small. But all right, I'm gonna go with that. So let me set up and we'll get her parted off. All right, I've got my link set to 5/16. So what I want to do, I want to put this in my collet chuck and then put another face and chamfer on that back side. So I got this little pan here. This is one of my little flea market deals. I was going to try this, see if I can catch that thing, and you know, keep from coming up here trying to hold the thread whenever we part it off. Breaking that sharp edge off of it. Hold this thing up close. All right, well, it worked. Okay. So there we go. Now I've just got to do a little face and that part be done. Alright, I got the rod cut the length, so I'm going to go ahead and get this side face clean and chamfered. Gonna make some 16 face cuts across here. All right, that should have been the final facing cut. Yeah, that'll work there. We just clean those flats up. So I'm just gonna put a chamfer there. I had thought about maybe machining a radius on the end, but I decided not to. Let's just keep it simple. I'm gonna use my carbide tool there and cut us a nice little chamfer. I think I went a little too far. There we go. Looks like 45. Okay. Just do a little bit of filing. All right, I'll use some emery and just soften it up, polish it a little bit. Being this is going to be bare metal all the time, this area here is probably just going to be painted like the base plate. All right, we got her flipped around and indicated, so we're going to true this end up, and we'll go ahead and drill and tap it for our little brass plug. All right, here's a nice new green field. Very sharp. Let's try this one. That's getting close to the bottom there, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen it up. Go the other way. I'm going to get a wrench and check it. Yeah, we were at the bottom there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and run the bottom tap in there and make sure that it's tapped deep enough, and we'll be through with that. All right, we can do a little test fit now. I got it blown out. There shouldn't be no chips in there. Alright, it's fitting just like it should. Look at that, screws all the way in there. And you know what, I don't have to put that in the collet chuck. I can just screw that in there like that into my facing. Then it'd be good to go. We might... There goes the Hellraisers. We might screw that in there last once we're done. I thought about putting just a touch of Loctite on there and screw it in and face it and let that be it. The pressure of the tool should put a little bit of torque on it and keep it in there, especially with a little bit of Loctite. Alright, so do some turning and threading and we'll be through with the lathe work. Alright, that's going to be our stop point right there, but in reality I'm going to be stopping a little bit before that because I want to cut a radius on that, a 1/4 inch radius. Alright, 115, so I'm going to dial in 120 and that'll be our finished cut on 1 inch. Alright, there we go. That's 4 thousandths under 1 inch, that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to turn a 1/4 inch back down to 7/8 right here on the end. Okay. Need a little polishing. I think my tip of my carbide's finally starting to get dull. It does good on those heavy cuts, but the fine cuts, it's not leaving a real smooth finish anymore. All right, we're good on size there. So here's a fresh Rex 49 high-speed tool that I've ground a radius on the end. That's a 1/4 inch radius. That's what we're going to use up here on the shaft. All right, just wanted to show you that. That was one of my turning tools I made for chip breaker a while back. I've got quite a few of these Rex 49s, so I've started to kind of use them up. So let's get this set and we'll cut our radius. Now this is where you got to use some cutting oil. It just really helps that tool and helps the finish there. I'm just going to try to blend it together good. Just about there. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to go over until I know the shoulder's cleaned up. Back out. There we have it. The beautiful radius with a hand ground and hone tool bit. And we'll break the edge here. We'll cut us a bevel there. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my threading tool here. I'm going to cut a bevel here and break that edge here. Okay. All right, I got my pitch gauge, and we've got a nut we're going to use. This is a standard 1-inch coarse thread nut. Zero. So yeah, I'm just going to thread it up to right about that radius there. Okay, we got it going. So, all right, 8 is going to be about 93, 94 thousandths, somewhere around there. Go a little faster. Let's go up to 210. What did I say? 8, 93. This is 70 here. I can already see I I didn't think something through all the way. We're going to be cutting into our 7/8 diameter here, so we're going to have to correct that now. Dang it. All right, let me keep threading it and see. We'll go ahead and get it to fit. We should be able to just do this after. Alright, that was 75. There's 80. I know we're not there yet, but I always have to check. All right, there we go. That's a good fit there, and that'll work. All right, I've got the threads cleaned out with my solvent, and I'm just going to put a couple drops, well, one big drop, I guess, of my blue thread locker. I'm just going to go ahead and screw that in there by hand. Okay, I'm just going to leave it alone. We're going to go ahead and face it though before it sets up, which it'll take a little bit to set it up, but we're going to go ahead and face it. And I don't know if I need to take a skim across it or not. I don't know if it's really necessary, but let's go ahead and face it all. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it like that. I don't see no reason why that won't work. So let's oh, I do want to hit that a little bit right there. Just that radius, I mean. Just try to blend it in a little bit better. Like that. All right, so I'm going to take it out and see if it fits now. Okay, here's our test fit. So there's the piece there. Looks right. Okay. All right, so now I got to figure out how much I want to trim this, if any. I did just cut it a little long, but I want it proportioned right, so I think that's might be way too big. So I can decide on this last though. I don't have to do that right now. So I want to drill and ream a hole in this and see how it fits. So we'll move over to the milling machine and get that done. Okay, set up in the super spacer, and I have found center using normal edge finder techniques that everybody should know now. Just trying to find my cutting oil. You know, we might try to use some of this other stuff. I'm still getting used to having it around that anchor lube. Maybe we'll try that instead. All right, so found the center. I'm also 3/4 from the end. That's just a good round number that I picked, so that if I do need to drill and tap it for a set screw, I've got enough meat there, you know, to support one. All right, so I'm just going to spot it, and just drill a hole. Nothing special here. So the only thing that I feel about this anchor lube, I think it does a fine job. It cools the bit, right? But whenever you're getting down in here deep like that, I think it's hard to get it to the cutting edge, because what I see it doing is when you apply it like that, okay, it's cooling a little bit right there, but as soon as you start drilling, the chips just pull everything back out of the hole. That's just what I think anyway. I might be wrong. I'm just telling you my thoughts, I guess. Okay. All right, let me go find maybe we get to use one of our new silver dimming type drills. Oh yes. Brand new drill. 47/64. This is one of those that I bought from Drillco. So I slowed it down. We're going to run 210. At least these, they have the 3 flats on it, so if you line them up right, it shouldn't spin on you. Try to get it down in the hole there. Everything's looking good. Okay. All right, did good. All right, let me go get my reamer. All right, I got my 3/4 reamer set up, and I guess I'll go ahead and try this anchor lube again. I really prefer cutting oil on this because I know it works, but we're going to give it a shot for Stan and see how it does. Kind of packing the chips in there. That reamer's got a long lead on it, so just about to get it now. There it is. me go ahead and I'm going to use the Noga. I want to go ahead and get this holdy bird. I opted to do it like this here instead of chamfering. Just so that this hole has a sharper edge to meet that instead of having a chamfer there. That's going to be so close. It's going to be hard to even get started in there straight. I don't know, man. That might, once it gets in there straight, it might push in there. But I guess I'm just going to have to push it in there to see how it's going to react, to know whether I'm going to need a, there it goes, there's that side there. Well, it acts like it's going to get tight, so now it's tight. Well, crap. Alright, I'm going to have to go tap it out of there. So we're almost done. Let me do a little more thinking on how I want to approach the length of the handle here, and I'll bring you back, okay? Alright, so on the rod here, the handle, I've been having a tough time deciding on the proper length that I want, but I actually like the length that it's at, believe it or not. 10 inches. That's the same length as my chuck key for my 3-jaw, and it's a comfortable length because you can put both hands on it comfortably. So I had marked it at 8 inches and put my hands on it, and that would still work just fine, even shorter than that. So I decided to go ahead and face it off, which I just did. Faced it and just kind of rounded the edges some, softened them. And I decided that I want to go ahead and try this at the 10-inch length right here, and see how I like it. And later on, if I think it's just too much, it looks out of proportion, then we'll trim it and face the other side. So I want to go ahead and get this pressed in here and take a look at it and see how it's going to turn out. Let's go ahead and get it started anyway. It's actually a pretty nice fit. Alright, I went over there and put a couple marks there to kind of give me a bullseye to work off of. And I got my scale here too. That is actually the press fit that I was hoping for. It's not real tight, but it's tight enough that it's going to hold. I shouldn't have to use any set screws to retain it. So we should be at 4 1/4 for both of them, for both sides there. I faced it a little bit. Okay. It looks like 4 1/4 and 4 1/4. There it is. Looks like a chuck wrench, don't it? Alright, cool. Let's go see how it looks. Alright guys, so what do you think? Does it look like it's overkill? Because if it does, it is. There it is. Man, I love it. I've been envisioning that T-handle for a pretty long time, so it's very satisfactory. You know, it's very satisfying to see that it's finally in there. So that's pretty cool that it lined up, you know, 90 degrees off the tube there also. I didn't plan that, but just about perfect right there. And I'm sure that's locked in there tight too. So I might be able to use this in order to tighten up the faceplate on the shaft. We'll give this thing once we get it, when it's all together, I'll be able to tighten this and then get the faceplate on there and probably give that thing a spin and let it hit face to face, and it'll be locked. So we'll keep that in mind. So, well, you guys can you can give me your opinions on what you think. Personally, I like it, and I would imagine I'm probably going to end up leaving it just like that, but we'll see. All right, man. Well, that's going to be it for this video. We'll move on to the final stages of the base plate, and again, I still want to put the holes here for the oilers, and we'll get to that also. Okay, we'll see you guys next time.